Welcome to Sculpture Studios. So, for this project, we're actually going to be creating some chrome corkscrew twist-like sculpture for Beyonce. That might be a little bit of a stretch. I highly doubt they're going in her back garden. Well, maybe, I don't know. But for now, these are going to be positioned in the Adidas store in Oxford Street, London, for the promotion of Beyonce's Ivy Park sport clothing range. We've been contacted by Chrome Spray UK, a company who we've commissioned projects with in the past for our chrome finishing, and here, the physical side of the project, they've naturally passed on to us. We have exactly 2 weeks for all of the work that you're going to see in this video, so this means it's all hands on deck, calling in extra people to get this done on time. I'm gonna have to mute the music in the video at the moment as we head over to the studio with Aden, as he's enjoying a little bit too much of classic FM, Handel's Walter Music Suite No. 1 in F major, unless I'm very much mistaken.
Starting some work on these chrome twists. Nice smooth, as if they're flat, like running up through the whole lot. And the way that I'm achieving these is creating a circle first. And on the bottom I've got the 0 mark, which starts there and goes all the way around until it hits there, a 360, the halfway mark back here, and carrying on up to the 360 here. So that's 0 to 0, and I'm not going to lose that line at all. I'm going to keep that line the whole time while I'm carving.
Most of you know by now that we enjoy creating things ourselves, but for something like this, a somewhat uniform and sort of geometric shape, going down a machine cutting route might ordinarily have been a good idea. Remember though, we literally have only 2 weeks to get this entire project finished. We're creating a total of 16 twists from glass fibre in 3 different lengths, so this means multiple master patterns need to be made and more than one mould to keep up with production. Fibreglass casts are then taken, trimming of the excess material, joining, cleaning up, finishing, painting, metalwork, construction, and put it this way, to have just one of these twists computer and machine cut probably would have taken the whole of that 2 weeks just for the pattern alone.
Well, here we are with the first 2 attempts. This was the first one that, just as an experiment model, and it tends to work alright, although I've got to try and keep my centres nice and straight. And then I thought it's a bit too much like a corkscrew, and it wasn't quite like the model. That one there, and this one here, which is between the centres 0 and 0, 360, 600 millimetres, and that's just too long, and it's becoming just too stretchy. So I'm going to meet a compromise between the two, between a 400 and a 600, so I'm making that now between the centres there and there, 500 mil, and see how that looks. That is 7 inches, and so is that. Don't look it, do they? That looks vastly fatter than that one, and that's just because of the stretching motion. So attempt number 3 on this one here, see how we get on.
Another reason that we've decided to create this by hand is that this isn't a tried and tested design. The client has presented us with a rough brief and are essentially trusting Aden to judge the design by what feels right for the project. So here in this video, you can see the entire process of just how much work often goes into one of our jobs to simply get things right for the client. It's not as straightforward a process as first meets the eye, and though this may be hours of carving and manual labour, it's a hell of a lot quicker and far more cost effective for the client to do this by hand. In the space of 24 hours or so, Aden's capable of creating 3, 4, 5 prototypes if needed to achieve what feels right in his head. This also means we retain control of the project rather than passing it on to someone else, because imagine if the machine that's creating this suddenly broke down, it would be completely out of our control.
There's round 1, I quite liked. Got a nice sort of curve to that edge there, which looks good. Round 2, lengthened that ridge there, which smoothened this out, which is a shame. Nice shape, but not quite right, I prefer that. Round 3, I'll lengthen that between there and there and give it a little more depth on the diameter across. But because of the length has changed, still hasn't got quite that technique, which I still prefer that, but I prefer that length in terms of the twist. So, as I said, come back on a Sunday evening now, round 4. God knows how many of these attempts it can take. Just setting up the last one. Reduce that slightly, about another 10%. I'm marking out my centres between there and there. And then I'm going to create tape around the outside. And instead of this time coming to a point, I'm going to create a 25mm flat across there, which will look like that, a bit more thickness, and afterwards I can round it off. So yeah, attempt number 4. Start carving now. It may take me 5 or 6 hours, but see how we get on. But I'm here on my own in the studio at night, so I've got no distractions, no phone calls, nothing. Just concentrate, listen to a bit of classical music, and off I go. Switching from this brush, which is a nail brush, nothing exciting, pretty crude actually, just nails in a lump of wood, made it myself. And this one is a wire brush, I didn't make it myself, so I'm going from rough to smooth now. Just so I explain, I put a 30mm tape the whole way round the column itself, and I've drawn the line on there, and the idea of me scratching it is now so I don't take away the flat on the whole area. And all the time I'm bringing it down on an even scale so I can keep an eye on it in case I go too far here and then not enough there. I'm trying to think column the whole time, barley twist and helix, instead of letting my mind wander on to something else, because all of a sudden you're carving away and I'm thinking about what I've had earlier. It's no good. I've got to try and concentrate, checking my angles and think column the whole time. So here we have the barley twist, or the helix, looking quite nice, nice and square, and I've taken an even measurement of all of these centres as well. So yeah, pleased with that one. I think I'll make another couple of these tonight though. Might be here to the early hours of the morning. I really want 3 patterns so we can get on with the mould. It's a good start.
What's that? Secretly sourced sticky back tin foil, you don't say. We use this to protect the polystyrene from the resin and fiberglass going on top. A quick, clean and easy barrier method, so get in touch and you might just find out more about it. This goes on and is burnished down to prepare the foam pattern for mould making. We go over with a gel coat layer and a layer of glass fibre. Not that you'd know about this latter stage, as we apparently had no time to film it, but the pattern has had a dividing wall created so we can make the mould in 2 halves. Once the resin has set, we divide the mould, remove the polystyrene pattern from the inside, and make sure we get rid of any foil left over. A good couple of days then goes into cleaning up the interiors of all 3 moulds, the small, the medium and the large. It's best to take the time at this stage to get a really decent finish on the inside here, so that we have less surface cleaning up to do on all 16 casts later. Once we're happy with the internal of each mould, we go in with a PVA blue release agent before each cast is laid up with a gel coat and glass fibre. Once again, all of the fiberglassing process has gone completely unregistered on camera, probably because everyone's hands were too sticky with resin to be able to get it on film, but hey ho. We're able to create 2 casts from each of the 3 moulds per day, so in 3 days we should have all 16 casts laid up. We're switching between laminating each cast in the mould in the morning, to trimming and cleaning the finished casts while the others are setting, popping out and laying up another cast after lunch and repeating this process. The fact that the moulds are made from glass fibre means that these are what we call production moulds, and more than 1 cast can be achieved from each. As well as making sure that each end is being cut to the right height, and each half is joined together properly from the inside, we need to make sure we leave enough space for metalwork to be included as well. These are going to be stood up on a base plate with a metalwork bar running up inside by about a foot. We also need a method to ensure when the metalwork is installed that each twist is standing directly upright and not leaning over in any direction. Construction and aesthetics are going on simultaneously here. The seam lines where the 2 halves have joined need to be cleaned up, so we're using car body fillers, applying, sanding down and reapplying until we lose those visible break lines. Oh, careful Ruth, you're so focused on the work, your bandana's falling off, love.
That's not bullying. That's how we do it.
Normally, we can tackle the majority of our projects between 3 or 4 people. Oh, is that bandana still falling off? But there comes a time where we need to call in a few old favourites back to the workforce, and it's always a good feeling when the work's going well, everything's on track and things are nice and busy, and this was certainly one of those times. And put it this way, you know you're a favourite and you know you've really made it here at Sculpture Studios when you graduate with a little mini caricature. We've created these half box sections to ensure that every twist can be positioned perfectly upright when installing on the metalwork, and most importantly that all are positioned identically to each other. The twists will have a female tube installed inside and a male pole welded to the base plate, so the sculpture can just slide down onto the base section when they're being installed on site. This also makes it easier for the transport and the chroming processes, as each sculpture can come apart into 2 sections. We're priming these with a 2K car body paint in grey, and as well as providing the sculptures with a much cleaner base for the chroming company, it also helps to show up any imperfections in case any areas on the twists require more attention. Final checks are now being done to make sure each of the sculptures are as close to each other in design as they can possibly get. We're throwing a laser line across the top of each model so that we can accurately bring down the finished heights of each sculpture and refill the top openings. How accurate these need to be at the end of the day, we don't really know, but we like to go above and beyond just to get things right for the client. With the project now nearing completion here in the studio, those avid followers of our work out there know that there hasn't been anywhere near enough silliness on this project. But that's just because we've been taking everything so seriously whilst the work's getting done. Now, however... So, in 2 weeks, many prototypes later, a hell of a lot of sanding and a good twist to finish it off, these are now ready to leave our studio to be sent off for chroming. These are being wrapped and sent up to Chrome Spray UK to then be sent on to Oxford Street in London. We've been sent a couple of finished shots, presumably taken on a phone from 2002, but we've managed to have a little hunt around online and see just how these turned out. Thank you very much to Chrome Spray UK for commissioning this project with us, and thank you to everyone watching at home for supporting our videos and watching all the way through. Please feel free to leave any comments below, as they're always appreciated, and hit the subscribe button for our latest videos. You can like Sculpture Studios on Facebook and follow @Aden Hynes on Twitter, and for more of our work visit sculpturestudios.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching.